Serena's eyes snapped open. She was sprawled on a mammoth four-poster in a bridal suite that looked as if it had been styled by a taxidermist, every surface marble, crystal, or mirrored, but nothing that radiated warmth. The weight of the beaded wedding gown pinned her to the mattress like borrowed armor. Memory poured in, cold and fast. She wasn't just wearing the dress. She'd been dumped inside the pages of a tragic romance novel. Her role, the stand-in bride married off to Lucas so her stepsister could dodge the arranged match. The catch. Lucas despised the arrangement so thoroughly he hadn't even bothered to show up on their wedding night. She pushed herself upright and caught her reflection in the vanity mirror. Same face, same tilt of the brow, but the skin looked bleached, as if the book had wrung all color from her. A glacial voice sliced through her skull. Host, good evening. I'm your tragic romance rescue system. Serena blinked. System. Care to explain the fine print? You've been ported into the novel. Your ticket home is simple. Make Lucas fall in love with you and avert the original train wreck ending. Fail, and you remain cannon fodder forever. She dragged in a steadying breath just as the bedroom door exploded inward. The stench of top-shelf liquor rolled in first. Lucas followed, jacket half-buttoned, eyes glittering with revulsion. Still awake. Waiting for me? He gave a short, ugly laugh. Dream on. Marrying me doesn't promote you to princess. You're a placeholder. Nothing more. My wife, if I ever claim one, will be Vivian. And Vivian alone. Serena curled her fingers into the satin skirt, anchoring herself against the foreign room. The foreign life. She lifted her chin. Hawthorne, she said, voice level, I know you didn't choose me. And believe me, aisle walking wasn't on my bucket list either. But the license is stamped, so I'll pull my weight. Who you love is your business, not mine. Lucas's brows twitched, surprised she'd clap back instead of crumple. He closed the distance in 2 strides, fingers clamping her jaw. Pull your weight, he echoed, soft and lethal. That code for wagging your tail for a treat. Don't bother. No rehearsed sweetness will pry Vivian out of my head. He flung her face away and stalked out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the crystal sconces. Serena rubbed the blooming ache in her jaw. Home felt galaxies away, but she'd find a route back. The system pinged. Mission officially started. Good hunting. Host. Sunlight slid through the curtains the next morning like a quiet accusation. Serena sat up, replaying every plot beat she could recall. According to the backstory wired into her skull, Lucas believed she'd climbed into his bed for the Hawthorne bankroll. Worse, he blamed the Vance family, her family in this world, for wrecking his first love. System. Give me the full file on Lucas and Vivian, she whispered. Childhood sweethearts, the system answered. Vivian's father's company imploded. The Hawthorne decided she was no longer suitable. Lucas thinks your father twisted arms to shoehorn you in, so every ounce of resentment lands on me. Correct. In the unedited draft, he ghosts you for 3 years. You die of despair. Love-struck damsels always get the short end, Serena muttered. She cracked open the laptop perched on the desk, pulling up everything publicly available on Hawthorne and its CEO. By noon she had a dossier, black coffee, whole wheat toast, lightly buttered, loathes cilantro, allergic to hazelnuts, works out at 5:30 a.m., schemes market reports while shaving, infiltrate the routine, she told herself. Prove money isn't the motive. At dawn the next day she set the breakfast table with coffee, fruit salad, and individually plated toast points. Lucas appeared, tie already knotted with surgical precision. You cook? He asked, sounding as though she'd claimed to levitate. I can follow a recipe, she replied. Hope it's edible. He bit into a slice, chewed once, frowned. Too much honey. I'll have it tomorrow, she answered, jotting a mental note. Days stacked into a week. Every meal was a pop quiz. Oatmeal, too thick. Egg whites, too bland. Espresso, 1 degree off foam. She logged each complaint. Adjusted. Served again. On the 8th morning she placed black coffee and unadorned whole wheat toast in front of him. He ate without commentary. Even refilled the cup himself. He was shrugging into his coat when she cleared her throat. I'd like to work at Hawthorne. Lucas paused, one eyebrow hoisted in patent disbelief. You? Bachelor's in business. 3 years at a Fortune 500, she countered. I need something to do besides perfect your toast. He studied her, eyes narrowed. Marketing's down an assistant. Show up tomorrow. Last one can for mixing up Latvia and Latvia. Serena beat his expectations within days. She rewrote a campaign brief, spotted a pricing error that saved $500,000, and charmed a truculent Nordic client back to the table. A month in, a major acquisition teetered over intellectual property clauses. Serena jumped into the negotiation, toggled between English, German, and calm common sense, and closed the deal before close of play. hallway. Lucas lingered after the executives filed out. Didn't know you had that gear, he said, voice low, almost respectful. Serena saved her smile for the elevator ride down. One milestone passed. The long game had only begun. Serena smiled. I only did what I was supposed to do. Just as the atmosphere between them began to shift, Vivian appeared, eyes rimmed red. She stood in the doorway of Lucas's office. Lucas. I didn't know where else to turn. Vivian choked out. Dad's sick. The medical bills. Lucas's expression softened at once. Don't worry. I'll handle it. He flicked a hand, signaling Serena to leave. Not far off, Serena watched the tenderness Lucas showed Vivian, then turned and walked away without a sound. The following days Lucas poured every extra minute into looking after Vivian. Toward Serena he reverted to ice-cold formality. Around the office Vivian shot Serena triumphant glances, and even maligned her in front of Lucas. At one departmental meeting Vivian questioned Serena's proposal in front of everyone, her tone razor-sharp. The room waited for Serena to lash back, but she simply smiled. Vivian brings up valuable points. I'll revise the plan with them in mind. Afterward Lucas detained her. Why didn't you fight back? There's nothing wrong with your plan. Serena met his gaze calmly. Arguing solves nothing. I only care whether the project succeeds. She paused. I know I still have shortcomings, and I'll keep improving. As for you and Vivian, that's not my business. Lucas's brows drew together. What is it you really want? To do my job. Nothing more. Serena turned and left Lucas standing there, confusion flickering in his eyes. System pinged inside her head. A host. Affection +5. Keep it up. President Lucas. The stock price just dropped another 5 points. PR can't answer the rumors fast enough. Social media is a bloodbath. 3 major clients want contract renegotiations immediately. In Hawthorne's conference room every division head delivered worse news than the last. Lucas's face was storm dark. In 3 days a rival conglomerate had hammered Hawthorne shares down nearly 30%, vaporizing tens of billions in market value. Does anyone have a workable countermove? Lucas scanned the table. Every head stayed bowed. Then Serena rose. I have a rough idea, she said, voice quiet but steady. Lucas lifted an eyebrow. Several executives smirked. Ignoring them, Serena opened her prepared deck. The rival's onslaught looks broad, but it's focused on our financial arm. The numbers show they're softening our sub-brands for a takeover. Her logic was crisp. We flipped the script, retreat to advance. Her plan was tight. Solve the immediate crisis and bite back at the aggressor. The room fell silent as the team leaned in. Lucas kept his eyes on Serena, disbelief giving way to surprise. Execute Serena's proposal. Emergency task force. Serena coordinates. His tone carried an undercurrent even he couldn't name. For the next 3 days Serena barely slept. She led the group through all-night data runs, overhauled messaging, and quietly lined up friendly outlets for the counter-story. Director Serena, pulling consecutive all-nighters clouds judgment. Late one night Lucas pushed open the conference door and set a cup of coffee in front of her. She lifted her head, met his gaze for a second, then looked back at her screen. Thanks. I'm almost done. Your plan caught me off guard, he said, leaning against the table. Surprised I could think of one? Or surprised I wanted to help? She asked without looking up. He hesitated. Both. I'm part of Hawthorne now. Protecting it is my job. She kept typing, praying the stunt would raise Lucas's affection score. On day 4 Hawthorne announced a strategic restructuring, exposing the rival's hostile bid blueprint and the financial risks hidden in its own accounts. Serena's media allies ran the revelation wall to wall, and sentiment flipped overnight. Within a week Hawthorne shares not only recovered but climbed 15%. Director Serena, the whole company admires your guts and brains, toasted the marketing manager at the celebratory cocktail hour. To our hero, voices chorused. From a corner Lucas watched Serena work the room, unable to look away. Vivian slipped her arm through his. Lucas, what are you staring at? Nothing. He dragged his gaze back, only to have it drift to Serena laughing with colleagues. I heard Serena spent years abroad. No wonder she's so slick, Vivian murmured. But is she really helping the company, or helping herself? After this crisis she's a household name. Lucas frowned, but said nothing. Day after day Vivian orbited Lucas, weaving whispers of hidden agendas. She even engineered a lunch where Lucas spotted Serena dining with the CFO. See, last week it was general counsel, now finance. What's she plotting? Vivian needled. Lucas's face darkened. That evening he asked Serena to stay after a meeting. You and the CFO have been awfully cozy lately. Serena lifted her eyes to his glacial stare. The new project needs funding. We were mapping allocations. Nothing personal? What else would it be? She shot back. In your eyes am I incapable of discussing business with a colleague? His silence confirmed it. it. Serena felt something freeze inside. She stacked her folders and walked out. System chimed, host warning, male lead affection falling, immediate action required. Serena knew Lucas had misread her again. She had to move before the gap became a gulf. A sudden cloudburst burst without warning. Late at night, Serena's bedroom door rattled under knuckles. She opened it to find Lucas soaked to the bone and reeking of whiskey. "You're drunk." Serena's brows drew together. "Why does it have to be you?" Lucas lurched across the threshold. "I don't know what you're talking about. What do you really want from me?" Lucas crowded her, eyes a storm of pain. "Money, power, status. Name it and I'll pay. Just leave." Rain streamed down his face. She couldn't tell water from tears. Serena stared at the wreck of a man in front of her, her own heart a tangle. "Lucas, I've never wanted your money or your position," she said, meeting his gaze. "I want you." The words detonated in his skull. He froze, disbelief widening his eyes. "Impossible," he muttered, shaking his head. "You're lying." "What would I gain by lying?" Serena's voice quivered. "You think I enjoy your scorn? You think I like watching you treat Vivian like glass?" Lucas hadn't expected the counterattack. Words failed him. Who else would put up with a man who keeps telling her to get lost, if not someone in love? Serena's throat closed on the last syllable. Her confession skimmed the air like a skipped stone. Ripples spreading. Lucas stood motionless, lips trembling, silence soldered between them. In the days that followed, the atmosphere turned brittle. At the office, Lucas would appear behind her with black coffee, then bolt the moment she thanked him. In the cafeteria, he chose the seat across from hers, eyes fixed on his plate, chewing in wordless loops. Back at the Hawthorne estate, they crossed paths in the foyer. Whenever their gazes collided, his was the first to ricochet. Serena knew Lucas hadn't lowered the final drawbridge. Vivian's silhouette still camped inside his chest. "Have you actually fallen for him?" the system murmured inside her head. Serena answered with a soft exhale. "You can't fake a mission like this without bleeding a little sincerity." Across the street, Vivian stood in a cafe, fingers curled around a paper cup, watching Serena and Lucas exit the elevator together through floor-to-ceiling glass. Her nails bit crescents into her palms. "Lucas is mine," she whispered, fury flickering. "Serena, you won't win." 3 days later, Hawthorne's confidential files on its unreleased project surfaced at a rival firm. The competitor launched first. Market share hemorrhaged. The stock price plummeted. Lucas's office door slammed open and Vivian swept in clutching a folder. "Lucas, I found the leak," she said, eyes glistening. It was Serena. She sold the confidential files. Lucas took the folder. Color drained from his face as he skimmed screenshots of Serena's email account dispatching blueprints. Transcripts of calls to the rival's VP. "Send Serena in," he said, voice arctic. When she stepped inside, the chill in Lucas's stare raised goosebumps along her arms. "Why?" He hurled the papers at her feet. "I actually thought you'd changed." "I didn't do any of this," Serena pleaded. "The evidence is fabricated." "Enough." Lucas's fist thundered onto the mahogany. "I was a fool to believe you could ever love me." They confined Serena to a guest room on the 3rd floor. Sunlight drenched the windows. The air felt like a freezer. She curled on the carpet, replaying every conversation, every cautious smile, how quickly they'd curdled. "System, I'll never clear this mission, will I?" She laughed without humor. The system paused. "Don't quit yet." Lucas sat in his study, screen flickering with security footage. Memories of Serena's stricken face needled him. He began combing through timestamps. When the email fired off, she'd been mid-presentation. The voice on the call failed voice print match. The IP traced back to Vivian's laptop. He slumped back as though decades had landed on his shoulders in a single night. The first love he'd guarded for years had dug the pit. Recalling his own frostbite words, he felt it like shrapnel. He sprinted to Serena's room. The door banged against the wall. She stood at the window, silhouette thin enough to snap. "Serena, I'm sorry," he rasped. "I was wrong." She turned. No tears, only the dull glaze of someone long past crying. "I'm tired." "Hawthorne," she said softly. "This kind of love hurts too much." He started toward her, arms rising, but halted when she stepped back. The distance felt miles wide, carved by distrust. "Lucas, I want a divorce." Steel under silk. "No." He seized her wrist as though clinging to driftwood. "You can't walk away, because your ego can't admit you screwed up." She wrenched free, mouth curving without warmth. "Let go. Hawthorne, I know Vivian framed you. Let me fix this," he begged. And her tone stayed flat. "If you ever valued me, why didn't you give me 5 minutes to explain?" Lucas had no answer. A metallic chime rang inside Serena's skull. Ding. "Congratulations. Host. Target affection has maxed out. Tragic romance reversal mission complete. Return portal available whenever you choose." Serena froze. She could finally go home. "Serena, what are you thinking about?" Lucas asked gently, watching her distant expression. She blinked back to the present, a flicker of quiet joy slipping through her eyes. "I was thinking, we were never right for each other. Early next morning Serena got up, walked straight to the closet, and started packing. Lucas stepped out of the bathroom, towel still around his neck, and went white at the sight. "Where are you going?" He rushed over and grabbed the sweater in her hands. She shook him off and kept folding. "I'm leaving." "Lucas, you can't," he roared. Then his voice cracked. "Stay, okay? Let's start over." She zipped the suitcase. Lucas blocked the door. Fingers clamped around her wrist. "Let go." Her voice was ice. "Serena, please." Tears shimmered in his eyes. She wrenched free. "It's finished." Lucas. Without a backward glance she crossed the threshold, leaving him hollowed out in the middle of the room. Once she was off the Hawthorne estate, Serena messaged system, "I'm ready to go back." The reply was flat. "Per protocol, the mission requires a staged death. Select your exit." She chose a traffic accident. That night the lead story on every channel was the horrific crash. Lucas's wife Serena killed on impact by a runaway delivery truck. Lucas was poring over quarterly reports when the alert hit his phone. He tore down the emergency stairs, drove like a madman, and arrived to find only a dark bloodstain already drying on the asphalt. "Impossible. Serena can't be dead." He screamed until his throat bled, tears streaming. After the funeral, Lucas drifted like a ghost. He stopped sleeping, locked himself in the study, and pored over every photo, every scrap she'd touched. Details he'd brushed aside now seared his memory. She'd logged his coffee temperature, the cut of his suits. Tiny doodles winked from book margins, bits of her he'd never bothered to see. He started digging. Traffic cam footage showed Serena speaking to empty air moments before impact, as if negotiating with something unseen. The oddity gnawed at him. Eventually, he found the slim notebook hidden in her jewelry drawer. On the first line, mission log. Page after page spelled out the transmigration task and every step she'd taken toward the day she could go home. System directive, win Lucas's love. Peak affection equals ticket back to reality. The notebook slipped from his shaking hands. So she hadn't married him for money or status, she'd married a plot point. Somewhere along the way she'd loved him for real, and he'd lost her. "I'm a goddamn idiot." His vision blurred. His life unraveled. He drank until the walls spun, ignoring terrified assistants while Hawthorne's stock price nosedived and investors fled. "Hawthorne, the board is waiting," the secretary ventured. "Out." He hurled the tumbler. Shards sliced his palm. The sting cut through the haze for a second. Then the ache in his chest swallowed everything else. He moved into Serena's old room, spread every dress across the bed, and slept clutching her shirts like a child with a missing blanket. "Tell me there's a way to bring her back," he begged scientists, monks, internet conspiracy theorists, pouring millions into fringe time travel studies. Meantime Vivian's crimes surfaced. The frame-ups, the embezzled funds, the corporate espionage she'd orchestrated. "Hawthorne, I'm framed." Vivian dropped to her knees, mascara streaking. He looked through her. "You have 3 minutes to vanish. After that I'll make sure you can't get a job greeting at Walmart." Fired and blacklisted. Vivian watched Hawthorne's tower fade in the rain. A lone, soaked figure, poetic footnote to the whole disaster. Lucas replayed his life on loop, Serena coaxing him to praise his staff. Serena insisting the charity budget stay intact. Serena never once complaining when he came home late. If I'd trusted her one shred, maybe. He changed. Board meetings opened with thank yous instead of ultimatums. He launched Serena, a foundation funding scholarships for poor students and rehab tech for the disabled. 5 years on, Lucas was still alone. He refused every setup, every sensible woman his friends produced, and poured himself into work and the foundation. One afternoon he stopped at a neighborhood cafe. Black coffee, no sugar, he ordered, the drink she'd teased him about. Sunlight speared the window. For a heartbeat he saw Serena walking toward him, hand outstretched. "Sir, your coffee." The barista's voice snapped the mirage. Lucas managed a tired smile, took the cup, and watched the long, lonely shadow the sunset painted across the floor.